Hello everyone. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about rainwater harvesting, watershed management, and resettlement and rehabilitation policy. The rainwater harvesting and watershed management are the water conservation practices. While doing so some people are going to be affected, in particular tribal people. How these conservation practices disturb the routine of the tribal people, what is resettlement, what is rehabilitation policy, all those points are going to be discussed in this lecture. Shall we proceed? Okay. First one, rainwater harvesting. This is the very important water harvesting techniques. This method was practiced even 1000 years before. People used to collect the rainwater from the rooftop and they stored this water in the tanks. Whenever they need water, this water, the rainwater was used for their purpose. You know, many places across the country receive abundant rainfall during rainy season, but they face water scarcity during the summer season. Why? What is the problem for this? This is due to the poor rainwater management system. Unless and otherwise we properly manage the rainwater, the water scarcity problem could not be eliminated or reduced. So this method is very important. I mean, rainwater harvesting is very important to recharge the groundwater, because the groundwater is used for many purposes: drinking purpose, for irrigation purpose, for industrial applications. All those practices, all those works need the ground, they use the groundwater. So this groundwater has to be recharged only through the rainwater. So if we establish the rainwater harvesting structures, so the rainwater groundwater would be effectively recharged and water scarcity problems could be minimized. Now, I would like to say the exact definition of rainwater harvesting that is given in the PPT. That is, rainwater harvesting is a technique of increasing the recharge of groundwater by capturing and storing the rainwater. This is done by constructing a special water harvesting structures like duct wells, percolation pits, check dams, etc. Rainwater, whenever it falls, it captured and pollution of this water is prevented. You know, when the rainwater during rainy season, the rainwater carries a large amount of pollutants. Then it mixes into the rivers and ultimately it joins in the ocean. It is a serious threat to all aquatic lives. Now, so when we collect the rainwater at the source itself, the pollution problem can be minimized. The water pollution can be minimized. The annual average rainfall in India is 1200 millimeter. However, in most places, there is a water scarcity during summer season. It is an astonishing fact that Cherrapunji, this is the second highest, which receives second highest annual rainfall, that is 11,000 millimeter. Still, it suffers from water scarcity. As I said before, this is due to poor rainwater management system. So, what are the objectives of rainwater harvesting? To reduce the runoff losses. So, majority of the water during rainwater during rainy season will go as runoff. It mixes in the rivers. Rivers ultimately join in the ocean. When we do the rainwater harvesting methods, we may reduce the runoff losses. Ultimately, we increase the infiltration capacity of the rainwater into the soil. Second objective, that is to avoid flooding of roads. Yes, you would have seen during rainy season the water is accumulated on the roads. This is due to poor infiltration capacity of the roads. The roads and all the heavy vehicles are moving on the road, so the soils get compacted. So it has poor infiltration capacity, so the water is accumulated on the roads. That will disturb our routine. When we do the rainwater harvesting, these problems can be minimized to meet the increasing demands of water. Yes, when we store the rainwater in the overhead tanks or underground tanks, during water scarcity times, this water can be used for our purpose. Next, to rise the water table by recharging the groundwater. I have already explained this point, I don't want to tell it again. And to reduce the groundwater contamination. Yes, so at the source itself we collect the rainwater. Rainwater is the purest form of water. When we collect and make it dam to infiltrate into the soil, the groundwater pollution is minimized. When the rainwater is allowed to flow over the soil, over the surface, that will carry some pollutants. If we collect the purest water from the rooftop and we directly pass this water into the soil, the pollution of the groundwater can be reduced. To supplement the groundwater supplies during lean season, so it can be used as the supplement. So rainwater harvesting techniques. So this in the here, the rooftop water from the rooftop is collected and it is stored in the tank. Whenever we need water, or during the water scarcity times, this water can be used. This is one of the methods. When compared to this, the second method, in this type, this method is widely practiced. Here, a portion of the water from the rooftop is diverted to the abandoned well, and another portion of the water is diverted to the rainwater harvesting structures. It is used to recharge the groundwater. I know in the 2006 or 7, the government of Tamil Nadu passed an order stating that all housing units, including commercial buildings, has to establish the rainwater harvesting structures. If it is not possible, if it is not they are not established, the electricity supply and the water supply should be cut. So after this order, these rainwater harvesting structures have slowly have been established by some commercial buildings, even the many household many houses. So what we must do, what's my request, so every one of you should concentrate to establish one rainwater harvesting structures in your home. This would definitely helpful to save our environment and to reduce to eradicate the water scarcity problems. We youngsters must do this practice. So it is the when you do so, the people the elder people would see your practice, and they would themselves establish these kind of structures in their homes. Okay, would you do? Yes, I hope you will do this practice. Next one is watershed management. Watershed, this is another water harvest conservation practice. What is watershed? Watershed means how rivers are formed. Many streams are joined together. Some rivers are formed. These rivers flows from the mountain and ultimately it joins the ocean. It travels in a longer distance. The watershed, the entire area of the what all types of all channels of waters flowing, that is called watershed. The exact definition is given in here. The land area from which water drains under gravity to a common drainage channel. Thus, watershed is a delineated area with a well-defined topographic boundary and one water outlet. You know, whenever I use the word watershed, you do an imagination about the dam construction. So benefits of dams. Watershed can range from a few square kilometer to the few thousand square kilometers in size. In the watershed, the hydrological conditions are such that water becomes concentrated within a particular location, like a river or streams. What are the reasons for this area, the watershed area? Because streams are flowing. When many streams join together, these rivers are formed. So the rivers provides a drinking water supply, for it provides water to many industrial applications. So maintaining this watershed is paramount importance for one country's development. So what are the reasons for watershed degradation? Overgrazing. Yes, all the soils, grasses are removed. It reduces, it accelerates the soil erosion. The soil quality, the amount of soil is removed. So once the soil is removed, it reduces the infiltration capacity of the water into the earth. You know, soils are very very important, particularly loosely bound soil. The overgrazing accelerates the soil erosion that we have discussed in the earlier lecture. So once soils are removed, that reduces the infiltration capacity. And deforestation. Yes, many trees and plants are removed, which degrades the watershed. Mining activities, construction activities. Yes, these are all natural and artificial fires. Ignorance of local people have been responsible for degradation of various watersheds. So what are the objectives of watershed management? A rational utilization of land and water resources for optimum production, causing minimum damage to the natural resources, is known as watershed management. So the following objectives are adopted during the watershed management. To rehabilitate the watershed through a proper land use, adopting conservation strategies for minimizing soil erosion, moisture retention, etc. Irrigation water supply. Yes, the dam provides irrigation water supply to many farming areas. So in order to provide the irrigation water supply, this watershed has to be managed. And domestic water supply, drinking water supply is also done in the water received from the watershed. Next, reduce the risks of flood. So if we construct the check dams or big dams which reduce the floods during the rainy season, and developing the economy, if the water is available in plenty in the dams, there will be in the growth in the agricultural sector. So ultimately the nation's economy would be developed. And what are the practices used to manage the watersheds? First one, water harvesting. The proper storage of the water is done with a provision for use in dry seasons in low rainfall areas. It also helps in moderation of floods. So at these points we have discussed during the rainwater harvesting. The same, the harvesting, water harvesting, the points are we discussed in the rainwater harvesting topic. And afforestation and agroforestry. In watershed development, afforestation and crop plantation play a very important role. They help to prevent soil erosion and retention of moisture. During the high rainfall, this water the trees and all prevents the water flow, I mean run of water, and this water the infiltration of this runoff water into the soil would be increased if we do the afforestation and agroforestry. Mechanical measures for reducing soil erosion and runoff losses. So some mechanical measures we have discussed when we were discussing about the food resources, construction of terracing, method of harvesting, method of planting the crops, either in the instead of the tops and bottoms, the cultivation is done across the slopes, which reduces the runoff losses. And scientific mining and quarrying. So due to improper mining, the hills lose stability and get disturbed during in landslides, rapid erosion, etc. Contours drenching at an interval of 1 meter on overburdened areas has to be constructed. So another method is public participation. Without public participation, you cannot implement any schemes successfully. If you make an awareness among the people, the project would be definitely successful. The people's involvement, including the farmers and tribals, is the key to the success of any watershed management program. So this is very important. Rainwater harvesting and this watershed management. In the university examinations, either one of the questions are asked routinely. Any one of the two questions would be asked in the university examinations. I hope so. So you must study well. Now we are going to discuss about the resettlement and rehabilitation policy. What is resettlement? So, various development projects often lead to displacement of native or tribal people who are poor and very often not educated. Their rehabilitation is a major economic issue. So the problems and what are the problems? Why do we migrate or shift the people from their native place to the other place? So what are the reasons? Tell me one by one. The first one, displacement problems due to dams. The peoples are forcibly shifted from their native place during the construction of a dam. The Hirahud Dam. Uh, During Hirahud Dam was constructed, more than 20,000 people were shifted from their native place. So, where the Hirahud Dam is situated? Hirahud Dam. Hirahud Dam was built across the which river? Hirahud Dam was built across the Hira, not Hirahund. N is added here. It is not correct. Hirahud. Hirahud Dam is built across the river Mahanadi, about 15 kilometers from Sambalpur in the state of Odisha in India. So this dam, I would like to share a few points about the dam. So this dam is 50 kilometer long. It is one of the major multi-purpose dam was constructed after the independence. India's longest dam. This dam is called as India's longest dam because it spreads nearly 55 kilometers. Imagine. Another dam, Tegri Dam. This was constructed across the river Bhagirathi. So when this dam was constructed, a large number of people have been shifted. Bakranangal Dam. Have you heard the Bakranangal Dam? Where it is situated? The Bakranangal Dam was constructed across which river? So Bakranangal Dam was constructed across the river Satluj, which is situated in Bilaspur, Himachal Pradesh in northern India. During the Bakranangal Dam construction, a large number of people have been shifted. So I would like to share one case history. You would have heard the Sardar Sarovar project, Sardar Sarovar Dam, which was constructed across the river. This was constructed across the river Narmada. This dam was constructed with the motive to supply drinking water as well as irrigational water supplies to the three states, namely Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, four states, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Rajasthan. The government is planning to establish 30 big dams and 135 medium dams and 3000 minor dams on the Narmada river. So a total of 573 villages consist of about 3 lakh people are going to be affected due to submergence underwater. Imagine the resettlement, and there is a major problem for the people who are living in this area. So if the number of people is 1000 or 2000, the government can easily manage. They could be rehabilitated and the resettlement can be done. So the 2 lakhs and 3 lakhs people, imagine the dam construction requires heavy money, and the resettlement also has to be given with a huge money. So the government would be in struggle. So the people, the agonized people, the cheated people, started certain movement called Narmada Bacho Andolan. They are fighting against the government. Mm, Another problem is due to displacement due to mining. Mining is another developmental activity which causes displacement of native people. Several thousands of hectares of land area is covered in mining operations, and the native people are displaced. Mm, when the mining industry is established, the people from few kilometers around the mining industry has to be shifted. There will be a firing, there will be an explosion. So there will be an air pollution, there will be a water pollution. So the peoples who are residing at least 5 to 10 kilometers around the mining industry have to be displaced. Also, one case study I would like to share: the Jharia coal field, which is many coal industries are available in Jharkhand. Jharia coal fields, which is again is situated in Jharkhand, have been posing a big problem due to local residents due to underground fires. They are asked to vacate the area. A proposal of large-scale evacuation about 0.3 million population in of Jharia immediately raises a question of their relocation and rehabilitation. So during evacuation, they are getting an assurance from the government saying that this sufficient adequate land would be provided in the plains, but after they are shifted, they couldn't get the adequate lands and property as the government assured. So as a result of it, the local people have formed a certain movement in this Jharia coalfields. They started a movement called Jharia Coalfield Bacho Samiti, and they are fighting against the government. Another one, displacement due to creation of natural parks. When the natural parks are established for aesthetic purpose, it is a welcome move. Simultaneously, the tribal people's life would be worst affected due to these national parks. Once the forest area is declared as the natural parks, the entry or movement of tribal people into the forest is prohibited, which results, they feel that the tribal people feel that their ancestral rights in the forest is neglected by the government. So the agonized villagers, the agonized tribal people are starting some destructive activities when the forest people are not available or not in the field. So I would like to share one case study. Yeah, Wayanad wildlife. Wayanad, where it is situated? This wildlife sanctuary is situated in Kerala, has caused displacement of nearly 50,000 tribal families. At the time of its initiation, it was decided to transfer land to these tribal families in order to settle them. However, a few families were given the land. The rest of the families were not given as the assurance given by the government. So the people, the cheated people, entered into the forest and they constructed huts and digging wells, causing a violent encounter with the forest officials, ultimately causing injuries and deaths to the people. And major issues related to displacement and rehabilitation. So what are the major issues? Loss of land, home, jobs of tribals that we have discussed earlier, and they could not adopt the culture of plains because the tribal peoples get an adaptation. All are hills oriented. Their aesthetic values, their culture, their food habits, everything are depending on hills. When they are shifted to plains, they could not adapt the culture that persists in the plains. They are struggling. And disintegration of families, yes, some their relatives would be living in the forest area. Only the people who are the places where the dam was constructed were shifted to the plains. So there is a communication gap between the relatives and families, and they would be struggling. And problems with the communal settlement. Another one is a rehabilitation policy. There is a need for a comprehensive national rehabilitation policy. So every state government is following certain rehabilitation policy. One government is giving, if 1 acre land they lost in the dam construction area, the government is saying that 1.5 land acres would be provided in the plains. Some governments are giving assurance only 0.5 acres should be given in the plains. So these differences make the people agonized, make the people cheated, and they would do some destructive activities. So we need a comprehensive national rehabilitation policy in order to mitigate these problems. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your patient hearing. So if you queries, feel free to mail me. Thank you.